Okay, so I've shown you how to create a schematic. What I'm going to do now is show you how to add a library, so we can add another component that isn't already in our library. So the components within here, we list here, we see a number of libraries. These ones are the normal ones which are installed by default. What we want to do is add a library. It doesn't have the part that I want, so we go to Preferences, Library, and I know that my libraries are all in a certain location, so I want them to find that location, so I say add a location, and then I search to my libraries, which are not in that, they're in Information, and they are in My Libraries, and I select the folder. Doesn't matter which one you use here, I've found doesn't really matter, unless you're going to move it around. So these are the libraries already included. I'm going to add one, and you see here it already automatically looks in the location I just told it to KiCAD My Libraries. I want to add Matt's library, so I've got loads of libraries in here, loads of them, downloaded from various places. I've also got my own library, so if I press M, you can see it says it goes to M, the first one in the M's, and then Matt's components is the one I want to add. I also want to add one which is Dangerous Prototypes 1, which is DP Devices. And then we click OK. It's a good idea here to save the preferences and also to save your schematic. So now when I look at the place a component, I list all, I can see that I have Dangerous Prototypes Devices and Matt's components. If I look in that, in Dangerous Prototypes Devices, I can see all the things that they've created. They created these from a conversion from Eagle. What I'm looking for is their nice PCB sized things, and I want to try and fit this into a square which is 5 by 5. So I place this component on the board, and I save. So now we have everything that I think we need on my schematic, but though you can see if I look in, there's a question mark over all of these references. That's because it hasn't been what's called annotated. So it says this is number P1, this is P2, this is G1. Generally, you need to do an annotation before you can do anything else, or else it doesn't know what everything's called. And generally, it starts the annotation over here, goes from left to right, and increases the number here. So whichever component is furthest to the left, it will call 1. So this capacitor here will be C1, this will be C2, this will be C3, this will be C4, this will be C5. Sometimes when they're dead in line, it just makes just says, I think it starts from this corner actually, moves its way down. So what we do here is we have to click on the annotate icon, and you can see there it says annotate components. We click this. If we'd already annotated some of it, we want to get rid of it, we could clear annotation, but I've never annotated it, so I've just pressed annotation. Unfortunately, you can't undo this, so once you've done it, that's it. So I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to close, and now you can see P1, P2, P3, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5. Great. So now we know all the devices, they have a reference. So now we can generate a netlist. So we just go on to generate netlist. We want the advanced format, don't worry about changing any of these, and we click netlist. Because we've not created one already, there'll be nothing in our folder. It'll go to the default folder that you created project in, and it will call it the same name but with the .NET prefix suffix. So we save that, and now we have a netlist. Bit boring, the netlist. It doesn't really look very good. If you have a look at it, it's a text file. I don't really generally look at them. What we then do is we have the references for all of these devices. We know that there is a capacitor here, but we don't know what that capacitor actually physically looks like. So we can see it in a schematic, but that's not what it physically looks like. So we have to link up all the schematic components with real modules. So this is done by relating to the schematic component to a module. So what we do is we run CVPCB, which associates components and footprints. So I'll run that. Again, if you've never run it before, it will give you this error that says here, this is normal if you're opening a new netlist file. It's a new netlist file. Then down here, it will give us a list of every single component, and and when you highlight one, on this side of the semicolon, there should be a module package, a module, that's what they call it in KiCAD, and I'll show you how to add one of those. Here on the right hand side of this display is a list of every single module that I have within the libraries that it knows about. So what I'm going to do is just click on View Selected Footprint, and that shows us, let's just get a bit more space here, that shows us what the highlighted footprint here looks like. So if I look at one pin, it's very zoomed in, but I know that this is a 3mm hole with a silk screen around it, because I created that one. But here we go, there's a 48 pin ball gate array. Here's some VNC sockets. Here's a buzzer I created, I think. So what we want here is we want to include some capacitors, and they've got the suffix C generally. Now, none of those I think are correct for mine, so I'm going to do Preferences, Libraries, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the schematic. I'm going to add a place to look, which is my information. This is where I've downloaded all my module files. I'm going to select that folder, use a relative path. So now, whenever you want to look and find more libraries, it will look here. So if I go Add, it's looking within my my own drive, my folders, which is called KiCAD My Modules. And again, I've got loads and loads of module files. They're all .mod. And we can press M, and hopefully we've got Matt's components. So I'm going to add that. I'm also going to add Dangerous Prototypes modules as well, which is DP devices, mod, and then add those. Click OK. What will happen here is it will update the list to the side, and there are a number more, lots more things added, because these are within those module files that I've just included, including some more capacitor sizes. So here I actually know that I want C1 wide large pad. I'd call it large pad 2. Don't know quite how it's different from that one. Slightly ridiculous naming system, but that's my fault. And I know that the capacitor C1 is a non-polarized capacitor, and it's going to fit that. C4 is also a non-polarized capacitor, it's going to fit that. C2, 3 and 5 are all round capacitors, and I think I'm going to just try and use quite a small footprint, so I'm going to use those. And you just click on the module here, and then it's quite good to save it once you've done a few, just in case anything goes wrong. The next thing I need is I need some connectors, so what I've done for those is some screw terminal connector things, because I want to use screw terminals for those. all of those. This has already been allocated. The dangerous prototypes device is DP50 by 50 millimeters. It's a square thing. Resistors, I think they come under R. So here we go. We have a number of ones. So I'm going to just use this one. And the LM386 comes in an SOIC. This one, SO8, and it's the small, the less wide version. I think that's correct. I'm going to save that. So now we have everything. It doesn't matter if we've got this wrong, because we can always come back here, reallocate them, and re-update everything. So I'm now going to close CVPCB, and I'm going to go back to my KiCAD kind of controller panel, and I'm going to run the PCB editor. Again, this will probably give us an error because it's a new project. So I'm going to click on OK, because that's fine. I'm going to save it so it won't give us that error anymore, and it will save amplifier, the board for the project that you're creating. Now you can see there's nothing in here because we've not imported anything. So what I'm going to do is read the netlist, and I'm going to browse the netlist files, and I'm going to go to the thing that I'm creating, which is this amplifier, and it shows you the .NET file. Don't have to do anything here because it's the first time, and we then click read current netlist. This will bring in all the components. It's given us one error, RV1. Oh yeah, I said RV1 was a resistor with just 2 pads. It's actually potential resistor 3, so I'm going to have to change that. So we'll come into looking at that. But if I just close, what happens here is every component has all been imported to the edge of the sheet, and you can see here that they're all on top of each other. So what I generally do is I click M for move. So if I do move, you can see click M. So I move all the components out from on top of each other, and you can see these white wires, they link everything up together. They are the connections between everything. Sometimes when you click on a lot of things like there, you see it came up with a whole load of things it could be, because you've got loads of things on top of each other. I just want the footprints, and I'm just moving those. If I move that footprint, and I just get everything moved out so that we can just see what everything is, see whether it looks right. There's not many components in this. I probably can fit it in a smaller board than I've said. And there we go. So there is our IC. These are our resistors. This one, remember, is wrong. So I'm going to have to change that, but I'll show that in the next video. But here are our screw terminal connectors. Here are our capacitors. And everything should be linked up. And as you move one of the units, one of the items, you can see they're all linked up. So that is converting from a schematic into the PCB editor. Next time I'll show you how to change components and also sort out your PCB board.